Hi guys, I'm Jen. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to do a true crime video. I usually do the true crime corner videos and I usually do voiceover and so forth. But for some reason, um, the new editing program that I'm working, I can't figure out how to do that yet with the program. So we are going to do this with me talking. So I do apologize if I take a break. There would be two reasons. One, because I'm looking at the um, thing that I pulled up for the true crime case, and two, some of these symbols on Diamond Art Club's Nefertiti are a little hard to see. So thank you for watching, and business wise, if you are new, welcome. I hope you enjoy the video, and if you do, please make sure you hit the like button. And we're going to get started. And this is an unsolved case, and it is about the murder of Lindsay Buziak. And this case took place in Canada and British Columbia, and in Victoria, British Columbia, in a suburb of Saanich. Again, I'm butchering the name. And this is an unsolved case. She's a real estate agent, and she was murdered uh, in February 2nd of 2008. And now it's a very weird case, and I'm going to tell you, I read this last night and I was like, holy crap, people. And I found that most of the unsolved cases that I have either watched on like Dateline or somewhere like that, they, these cases are strange in their own way. So just bear with me because there's a lot of information. So we're going to get started on that. So as I said, she was murdered on um, February 2nd of 2008. Now we're going to get into her background, and then the events that lead up to the murder. And now she um, was born in November of 1983 to Jeff and Evelyn Buziak. And she had one sister. Her name was Sarah. And in 2008, Lindsay was a very ambitious Victoria uh, real estate agent, and she had a promising start to her career, and she was described as being caring, popular, and just all around it, a really, really, nice girl. So her boyfriend, Jason Zalo, he was from a prominent and wealthy family that was, I guess, from Victoria, British Columbia. And so she and they, that they owned a successful real estate agent, real estate company, which I'm assuming that is where Lindsay worked. So we're going to get started now. We're going to leave. This is what happened in January to this start. The whole thing starts in January of 2008 and leads up to when she was murdered in February. So she receives a phone call from a woman who told her that her husband was being transferred to Victoria. Now, mind you, they're very specific about the kind of house that they want. And so she's, telling him that telling Lindsay that this is an urgent, matter. They're looking for a home, and it has to be um, in the budget of $1 million. So again, I mean, of course, no, that's not kind of weird in its own self, but so she, now what? I guess I don't know how they knew this, but according to Lindsay, I'm assuming, she told, her boyfriend or whatever, told Jason, what the caller sounded like. But according to her, the caller had a foreign accent, and which she thought it sounded Spanish, sounded, kind of Spanish, but not really. So, I don't know if it doesn't really, get into what kind of accent this woman had. So, mind you, this all starts in January, okay? And I'm sorry you can't see my tray or my colors. So she's, in January looking, she believed that what got Lindsay was she believed that the caller could have been faking the accent, but she went ahead and just, you know followed through with it, and started, up the uh, looking up the homes. But in the process, while she's on the phone with this woman, now mind you, she has this, this crazy weird accent, and so she, Lindsay's like a little concerned about it, which I can't say I blame her, because number one, the woman called her on her personal cell, and number two, she was told that a client referred this woman to her. And so after the conversation with this lady, she then proceeds to call all of her clients and ask, did you refer somebody to me? And of course, they tell her no. And so, again, on that assumption, she's still a little, concerned and kind of, I don't know how to describe it. I guess anxious about the whole situation. But her boyfriend um, tells her, you know, he encourages her to go ahead and just the, just go ahead and, you know, take the, client, because number one, $1,000 contract. I'm assuming now. I don't know. I'm not in. I'm not in real estate, so I don't know. But I guess it's a high commission. So Lindsay did so, even though she had concerns about it, and so um, to just, I guess, in short, reassure her, Jason, her boyfriend, told her that he would go with her to when it came time to show the home. So, now I will tell you this much. I read on another, um, when I was doing research, I also read that there were about 10 phone calls between Lindsay and this woman. And um, so she, it wasn't like it was a one time phone call and that was it. So, anyway, so she made an appointment. She found a suitable property, and she made an appointment with the client to view it on February the 2nd at 5:30. And that's how we get into the what happened on the day of the murder. So, now Saturday on February 2nd of 2008, Lindsay and her boyfriend Jason had decided to eat a late lunch, and they it was around, I don't know, they say around 4:30, and they left separately in their own vehicles. And she went home to change her clothes and before going to view the house. So her boyfriend Jason goes to an auto body shop, and he went to pick up a colleague that I guess works with Jennifer, or Jennifer, oh my gosh, works with Lindsay and with Jason. So that he was running late, and he, let her know, did inform Lindsay that he was running late, and that, they would be there soon and they would wait outside. So, she was like, okay, whatever. She was aware of it. So the house is located on a cul-de-sac, and the place is called DeSosa Place, and it has 4 homes in the cul-de-sac. I So it's not like, it's, where nobody knows, where it's not like it's all by itself. I'll put it that way. So she shows up, and um, the client told Lindsay that she would be coming alone. Okay. So despite, that's what was told, a couple show up at 5:30. And okay, so there were witnesses to the couple showing up, and they described the couple as a 6 foot tall Caucasian man with dark hair and a blonde woman aged 35, between 35 and 45, wearing a distinctively patterned dress, and they walked up to the cul-de-sac. And they Lindsay shakes hands with the couple, and so they go into the home. They're in the house. So now her boyfriend Jason shows up 10 minutes after they go into the home, and he texts her to tell her that he's on the property, and so they wait. So as they're driving up, as Jason and his friend are driving up to the property, they see a figure through the glass of the window, and he was parked outside of the property. Jason was parked outside of the property for like 10 minutes. Okay. And which, he told Lindsay that's what he was going to do, and that, he would wait for her. So, so then he waits 10 minutes. Then he decides to drive back out to the street over and park there, because he didn't want to be, a nosy, interfering, overprotective boyfriend or what have you. And they wait. They're still waiting. So he texts her and tells her, asks her if she's okay, and she never opened the message. She never read it or anything like that, I'm assuming. So, he's, after 20 minutes, Jason has decided that he's going to go and, find out, if she's okay. He gets there, and when he does, um, he sees the couple go back into the house. Now, why they were out of the house in the first place, I'm not sure. So he goes to the front door and he finds it locked. Now, I don't know, all the rules and regulations of when a real estate agent goes to show the home. But the door was locked. And apparently, according to, you know, Jason, that was a no no. I'm not really sure, how that, but anyway. So he finds the door locked, and he looks through the glass at the front door, and he sees Lindsay's shoes in the entrance hallway, because apparently, they take their shoes off before they go to show the home. So, he, but there was no sign of her. There was no sign of the couple. That no one answered the door. So he calls 911. And um, his his colleague found a gap in a fence in the back garden, and he goes in through the back door because the door's open, wide open. So he goes in and unlocks the door for Jason. And so he he immediately goes upstairs. Jason goes upstairs after, because his friend and him decide to split up and cover the to look for her. His friend was downstairs looking, and he went upstairs. And he goes upstairs and is looking through the rooms, and the master bedroom is, I guess, at the top of the stairs. So he runs upstairs immediately, and he finds his girlfriend, finds Lindsay laying on the floor in a puddle of blood. Now, mind you, this is all like 20 minutes later, because remember, he gets there 10 minutes after she goes in at 5:30 with the couple to show the home, and then 20 minutes later, he's concerned, and he he goes to the house because he didn't want to seem like he was over, protective or whatever of his girlfriend, and wanted to, not, I guess, make it look, whatever. And now, probably in hindsight, he probably, should have. I don't know. So anyway, he goes, and um, so he calls 911 a second time, and they finally then the paramedics arrive, and they she was pronounced dead as soon as the paramedics arrived. She had been stabbed 40 times. 40 times in the chest and in the head. Now, there were no defensive wounds, which kind of basically says, okay, maybe she had no idea, she was probably stabbed from behind and that had no idea what was happening. None of her things were stolen. Her phone, her purse, and all that other, and her car keys were still there. They this was not a robbery. There was, to be truthful, there really wasn't a motive at the beginning to try to figure out why. So, and she hadn't been sexually assaulted. They just downright brutally murdered her for whatever reason. So now Jason and his friend are taken into custody. And I'm assuming, that, like every police officer, they have to, like every detective, they have to, rule him out. And so they ruled him out. Um, he had been interviewed several times over the years, and he even passed a polygraph test. There was no DNA. They uh, they believed that this murder was a well organized professional hit. So it's real. But of course, like I said, this is unsolved. There's a couple of theories that I will share with you. And so again, they think it was a professional hit. That's the first theory that was carried out by police before. So now the police are satisfied that the killers left the front door when he drove up, left the front door open for when he drove up, and that they fled through the back door and, back to a vehicle which was probably parked somewhere on a street over. So, that being said, okay, um, that being said, we go on into the next theory, which I think is kind of, I think it's plausible, and I just spilled my drills everywhere, guys. Yeah. I mean, it is plausible, and which I thought was kind of, crazy. I mean, it could be, I mean, it is kind of crazy, but then again, nowadays you never know. And so they keep investigating, and they thought it was kind of odd that the couple walked to to where they were meeting Lindsay to show the house instead of driving up, which that in itself right there, is kind of weird. I would be too, but I would think so too. But then again, I don't know because but then again, I guess, if you're looking to buy a home, you would at least, be kind of one of those ones where, okay, if you're looking to buy a home, you can afford to at least drive to where you're going to meet this person. So now um, they do find a cell phone. They checked Lindsay's phone, and for the calls that were made between um, this woman and Lindsay. They traced the phone to a convenience store in Vancouver. And it, I guess it's like one of those, prepaid things. I don't know. So they traced that, and it never had been used until they called her, until it was used to call Lindsay. So, and she's the only number listed in the call log. And it was activated under the name of Paulo Rodriguez, which the investigators think that that's a fake, an alias. It was registered to a legitimate address in Vancouver, which was a business address. But they believe that business had no connection to the case. And they think it was just, an address that was chosen randomly. And, because they probably needed some kind of an address to, I don't know. Um, so, right there, that was a dead end. So then the phone was deactivated shortly after the murder and hasn't been used since. Then the cell phone, they pinged it using the cell phone towers, and they found that it traveled on the ferry from Vancouver the day before the murder. So they believe that this phone was used solely, for the sole purpose, for, to, basically, make this phone call and so forth. And then it was discarded afterwards. where they found it, I don't know. It doesn't say where they found it. It doesn't say, um, anything about that. So now, and of course, that theory supports the investigation that the murder was planned. So now the family of Jason were investigated due to their connections to the neighborhood and to the cul-de-sac. Only because D'Souza Court is named after a developer, Joe D. D'Souza. And he's a friend of Jason's mother. So that connection, was investigated. Part of the cul-de-sac was still under construction at the time of the murder, and he D'Souza was at the location an hour before the murder, supervising the construction work. So now, again, they're making sure that they understand that no one in Jason's family is considered a suspect. So that was one theory of that. Now, why they would, I don't know. So then September of 2010, Dateline on NBC aired a episode about this, and it was called The Dream House Murder. They revealed in December of 2007, about 8 weeks prior to Lindsay's murder, that she tried to contact a friend of her ex-boyfriend while on a visit to Calgary, in Calgary, Alberta. And this is another theory. Okay, I'm not trying to confuse you all, I promise. There's like 3 theories. So on January the 22nd, before Lindsay is murdered, okay, there was the largest drug bust in Alberta, Canada's history took place, and the friend was arrested, and he, for being a major participant um, the in the drug trafficking operation. So it was speculated that her murder, why am I saying my name? Good God. It was speculated that Lindsay's murder could have been ordered by a drug cartel because they believed that she was an informant for the police. They investigated that possibility, and they ruled it out because she was not an informant. So, like I said, there's 2 theories. First, they think it's Joe D'Souza. Then they think it's a drug cartel. So then the investigators state that they do believe that Lindsay's murder was personal and planned by someone very close to her, and someone who had access to her office where she worked at Remax. So then speculation again about another drug operation that was related to this group of people was also investigated by the police, and the person that they investigated in possible link to this was Jasmine. Just now, mind you, I did this. If I butcher this, I am so sorry. His name is Jasmoen Singh Baines. Okay. Okay. And it had been tapped. His phone had been tapped, and because he was very highly involved in the trafficking and the illegal narcotics in British Columbia and Alberta. And during the tap, they found information that led to the uh, BC legislature raids that occurred in 2003. So Lindsay and her boyfriend's phone were also tapped at the time because of his association with Baines. So this theory was interesting, but again, it was dismissed because Lindsay was never known to be uh, involved in drug use or trafficking. And of course, when the witness list for that trial was released, she was not on it. So, now there were later events to this that happened, and I thought, this was another weird thing because I'm not quite sure what this has to really do with anything because, again, it's kind of one of those he said she said things, I guess. So according in later on in 2008, a close friend of Lindsay's, who her name, don't know her real name, she goes by Nikki. So she claimed that she was woken by a telephone call in the middle of the night, and she from an unknown number. She was half asleep, and she, didn't know who it was. So, of course, when she went to, I guess, try to figure out, who it was, she noticed that the caller had a strange accent and that she couldn't place. So, she became scared and was worried because she knew that Lindsay was showing a house, and, you know, that this client had a very odd accent. So now, by this time now, this person, Nikki, is fully awake. So she picks it up, starts calling, the phone back. And it rings and it rings and it rings and it rings. And she keeps calling back. She calls back, 20 or 30 times until finally somebody answers. Now, this is another theory. Okay? So she answers. Once the phone is answered, it is Shirley Zaslow, Jason's mom. Okay? Weird. Now, truthfully, I didn't really think anything of this because, I don't know, maybe I'm just weird that way. But, so, she asked Shirley why she called her and how she had known the number, as they didn't, and of course, the person, Nikki, and Shirley don't know each other. So, and Shirley supposedly comes up and says that she was trying to call another Nikki, which was her secretary, and she didn't know why this Nikki's name was in her contact list, and she just assumed that her son Jason had added it. So now later on, Jason's mother Shirley was asked about this, and she denied it. She categorically denied it, and it hasn't been revealed whether or not Nikki's claim, was followed up. So, it doesn't really, go into that. So that's another theory. I know there's like, oh my gosh. I hope I'm not confusing you all yet. I was confused. So now, in fact, so now, like I said, this is unsolved. Um, and they are still, kind of investigating this. And I can't remember when. I have to look. But a couple years ago, they did come back. They found there was a bunch of redacted files, and it showed that this woman and Lindsay talked 10 times. But what was also strange was that after Lindsay's death, or after Lindsay's murder, her Facebook was, I guess, blank. It just like, she just, I don't know. And all of her chat messages and so forth were missing. So there's a lot of things that I found really weird about this case, because number one, who does that? Who goes through after you're murdered and do that to people? To me, it's just, freaking weird. But anyway, now, I mean, they're still investigating this. They still have no, but now in 2017, there was a public message that was posted on the investigative website that is run by Lindsay's father, Jeff. And there is a message that contained misspellings throughout. And the message stated, and I quote, "I killed Lindsay, and stupid cops will never prove it." So it's kind of weird that comes out now. But it's, I just think the whole thing was kind of weird in itself, because I was just like, okay, um, really? So that's all I've got for that one, guys. And I'm sorry it's very short. I have a big one coming up. I've been asked by a friend of mine who watches my channel also to do Ted Bundy. Yeah. So that will be coming up. I'm trying to get that done, finished for next week. And I will, keep you guys posted on that. Thank you for watching. I hope everyone enjoyed this. If you have any comments, questions, please comment below. And if you have any, cases that you want me to talk about, please make sure you comment below, and I will gladly add them to my list. And until then, guys, thank you. Have a great week, and I'll see you all next time.